The Megalodon, one of the most ferocious animals in history, estimated to be between 45 and 60 feet in length and weighing nearly 50 tons. It is a monstrous creature with 3-meter long jaws supporting 46 7-inch long razor sharp teeth. And with 180 newtons of bite force, it could take a chunk out of a semi-truck. What led to this unstoppable predator's extinction? Or could it be possible that they are still alive today, hiding in the vast depths of the ocean? Well, today we're gonna find out in this episode of Is It Alive? To find out if the Megalodon still exists to this day, we have to travel back in time. The first reported Megalodon tooth was discovered in 1843 in Switzerland by Louis Agassiz. He then proceeded to give it its name, Megalodon, literally translated to big tooth. But records of the beast date back much older, as far back as 1667, by a Danish scientist named Nicholas Steno. He assumed them to be just shark teeth, and included the drawings of the teeth in his book, The Head of a Shark Dissected. So how far back the fossils date is unknown. Megalodon fossils are very hard to find because the shark's bones are made of cartilage, which dissolves over time. Being that they disappeared about 2 million years ago, there should be little to no fossils left. That is, except for the teeth, which have a special protective coating which keeps them preserved. Fossilized teeth of the Megalodon have been found worldwide from regions including America, Europe, Africa, Japan, Australia, and India. Since scientists have little remains of the Megalodon, they have to reconstruct the body just by the teeth, which is a very difficult task. Even so, the jaws have been replicated a few times. One replica is in the San Diego Natural History Museum, where they reconstructed the approximate size of the beast based on the fossilized teeth that are in its mouth. But what exactly could cause such a creature to disappear from the world? Nobody is quite sure how they went extinct, whether it was food shortage, climate change, or if they lacked the skill to adapt to an ever-changing environment, or possibly even a combination. During the Miocene era, the water was much warmer than it is now. Due to the cooling temperature of the water, the Megalodon would have to move to a different area of the ocean because it is cold-blooded, meaning that its body temperature would reflect the water temperature. So the Megalodon would have to move to a different part of the sea, which is all fine and good. But that doesn't mean that all other animals couldn't adapt to the environment. The Megalodon mostly hunted whales, which is a warm-blooded animal that also has a lot of blubber to insulate it, so it would not be so quick to pack up and move waters. Another factor that could hurt the Megalodon is evolution. As time went on, the whales got much more agile, which could help when a giant shark is trying to have you for dinner. And being that the Megalodon needs a very large amount of food to function every day, losing the whale as a food source is very detrimental to its lifestyle, meaning it would have to find another large food source and quickly, which could have led to cannibalism, which would send the population plummeting rather quickly. But some people seem to think that this monster is still alive. Over the years, many YouTube videos have been claiming that the monster is caught on tape. I will show a few of them and talk about them afterwards. The first video is actually from the Discovery Channel. Let's take a look.
Zoom in once more and to the right. I know it's kind of blurry, but look at that. That's a fin.
Now I know what you're thinking. Whoa man, this is the Discovery Channel. This has to be legit, right? You're wrong. This segment was actually from the hit show Shark Week. But the thing is, it's all fake. The scientist portrayed in the show is actually an actor, but it's Shark Week. It's supposed to be all facts about the sharks. Well, due to its growing popularity, it has turned more into a TV show rather than a nature documentaries. Why? Well, it's pretty much all our fault. Discovery found out that more dramatic segments like those of great white shark attacks and other violent shark behaviors pull in more viewers than those boring documentaries people only put on when they're bored or stoned, like this one. So now they created a whole new fake scenario with fake footage to scare or intrigue the viewer into watching more. It's like that fake mermaid documentary a few years ago. They posted a real quick 3-second disclaimer at the beginning saying that the footage is not real and dramatized, then proceed to act like everything in the documentary is all fact and real footage. So if you miss that quick disclaimer at the beginning and flip to the channel, you, the unsuspecting victim, think all your bestiality fantasies of Ariel from The Little Mermaid can finally be realized. No? Just me? Hey man, I was a troubled 13-year-old boy. Let's just move on.
All right, so what's the new evidence now?
A satellite photo near Sao Paulo.
All right, this I want to see. Let's take a look at that.
It was taken by NASA, and it caused some immediate concern amongst the environmental community.
All right, first blush, it looks like a giant oil spill, right?
That was the fear, yeah. There's a lot of offshore drilling along the Brazilian coast. Fortunately, though, it turned out to be a swarm of microbes known as Marionecta rubra, and they're not hazardous to marine life.
Why was this brought to your attention then?
Well, during the initial investigation, the agent who was studying the swarm noticed something out in the water.
Okay, kind of a speck.
Yeah, well, at this resolution, it's a speck. When they zoomed in, though, they got this.
It's a little fuzzy, but I'd say that's a shark.
And not just any shark. If you look at this other satellite photo I brought, it was taken at the same resolution of a school bus yard in nearby Sao Paulo. Now, those are 40-foot buses, and when you compare them next to the first photo, I'd say that's a 70-foot shark.
All right, let's ask the obvious first question here. Do you really think that this is the same animal that was spotted 2 months earlier on the other side of the ocean at Cape Verde?
Well, look, that's a 3,000-mile trip, and it sounds like a lot, but great whites have been tracked going 1,500 miles in a month. So for Megalodon, that would be nothing. Also, sharks are known to revisit old haunts. Great whites, for instance, have been tagged leaving the east coast of the U.S., going on a random winding trip through the North Atlantic, and then returning a year later, almost to the day, to the same spot that they were tagged. So similar behavior from Megalodon makes complete sense.
If, indeed, this is Megalodon.
Again, it's by Discovery on Shark Week, with the same scientist actor as the last video, so its authenticity is very unlikely. Due to the large viewer count of the last Shark Week, they had to make a follow-up, so this Photoshop image was created. Basically, if you see this man claiming to be a shark scientist, there's about a 95% chance it's fake. Next. This one could be real, but it's highly unlikely. The video could be very easily altered, and the chance of a Megalodon skimming the surface like that just in view of the camera is very unlikely. Also, the lack of a reaction from the man in the air and the people in the water is also another sign it was faked. The massive creature would make ripples that the people in the water would definitely feel. I came to this conclusion when I read about people who were in the water while whales swam underneath them, which I'd assume would be an accurate representation of if a Megalodon would swim so close to you, but maybe they just assume it's the helicopter. Well, the man in the helicopter would most definitely see the monster as well. But the clip ends abruptly and there's a lack of a reaction during or after the clip, so that also leads me to believe this video is fake. Let's move on to the next one. it's a basking shark. Yeah, hate to burst your bubble, but the actual CNN article claims a 26-foot basking shark washed ashore on Long Island Beach, still alive but dying slowly after authorities arrive. No monster here, although that hard rock music almost convinced me. Next.
Okay, so it's Friday, and we're out fishing in Howe Bay. We're gonna get big fish. We're gonna go find them all. Hi, you guys! I kind of feel like I've had a bottle of champagne. There we go. Oh, that's beautiful. It's incredible. Okay. Have you got something?
I think I got something.
What? Have you?
Yeah.
An old boot, I think. Yeah.
This is a big one. Fish. Damn, I lost it. What the hell was that?
A day of deep-sea fishing on a charter vessel turned into terror on the high seas off the coast of Cape Town.
Our feeling at this time is that a whale breached and inadvertently took the boat down. The operator put the vessel into close proximity of mating whales.
This week on Shark Week, Blair Shark Project. That's right, Discovery is at it again with that bullshit. Next. This now viral footage was claimed to be recorded at the bottom of the Mariana Trench by Japanese biologists, but was later revealed to be recorded in Suruga Bay, which is pretty close to the Mariana Trench, but not quite. It was recorded sometime in the early 2000s, between 2000 and 2003. This shark looks huge, because it is, but not big enough. It is only 23 feet, roughly half the size of a Megalodon, and identified as a Pacific sleeper shark. So sadly, we hit a dead end. Let's take a look at the last video.
1985. The crew of the American ship Glomar Challenger carefully studied the bottom of the yawning, crushing concavity, lowering the 9-meter ball-shaped device called the Hedgehog into the depths. Suddenly, the computer began recording the strangest sounds. The cables holding the probe stretched and stretched and stretched almost to the breaking. The researchers rushed to bring the device back to the surface to find out the reason for these strange happenings. They attempted to reel it in, but the Hedgehog wouldn't budge. There, in the depths, something held fast to the device and wouldn't let it go. Finally, after 3 hours of fighting, their machines could at last raise the probe. the unknown force had released it. And then, as the probe was pulled from the sea, a terrible sight was revealed to the scientists. The probe looked as if it had been in the jaws of an underwater monster. There were bite marks on the plating, and some of the steel cables had been torn off. What kind of creature could have done this? The incident caused quite a bit of consternation. The condition of the cables and platform was simply astounding. To contain this wave of fear, as all the team members were extraordinarily frightened, the official version of the incident was that the platform got stuck on a rock, which is what caused the damage. But the crew knew that there was something huge and enormously powerful there at a depth of 11 kilometers. According to the official version, everything was the same as previously discovered. The bottom of the Mariana Trench is covered with various mountains, but the precise area where the studies were conducted was barren. There was not a single rock. There was nothing for the probe to get caught on. If that were so, the onboard instruments would have alerted them to a collision, but that did not happen. And apart from the terrible damage, there were still those horrible, heart-rending sounds, which no one has ever explained. Later, biologists suggested another more sensational version of the incident after systematically reviewing all of the long-term reports from the researchers. Their verdict? That a giant relic, the monster Megalodon, damaged the cables and platform. This huge prehistoric shark, which weighed 50 tons and was 22 meters in length, is a long extinct ancestor of modern sharks. It was believed that they disappeared more than 1.5 million years ago. But if the report is correct, then Megalodon did not depart this world after all, but found shelter in the depths of the Mariana Trench. This idea did not come out of nowhere. The scientists had discovered a giant tooth the size of a man's hand. A thorough study confirmed the tooth did indeed belong to the ancient creature Megalodon.
I did some background research, and this is the only reliable video so far with many reports surrounding it. But I'm not so sure it was a Megalodon. The reports say the computer started recording sounds close to that of a table saw. At the same time, on the TV screen appeared vague shadows, like giant fairy dragons. These creatures had several heads and tails. An hour later, scientists of the Glomar Challenger began to worry that the hedgehog, which was made from beams of high-strength titanium and cobalt steel developed in the NASA laboratories, would remain in the abyss forever. It was decided to raise it immediately. The hedgehog was recovered from the depths after more than 8 hours of struggling. As soon as it appeared on the surface, it immediately shocked the scientists. It was found that the solid steel construction beams were deformed, and the 20-inch steel cable at which it was being lowered was halfway sawed off. It was published into the New York Times, claiming that it was a mystery to everyone involved. Upon further investigation, I found out this was not the only event containing the Mariana Trench. Something similar happened with the German research unit, the Haifisch. Once at a depth of 7 kilometers, the unit suddenly refused to surface. Trying to find out the cause of the problems, scientists turned on the infrared camera. What they saw in the next few seconds seemed to them a collective hallucination. A huge prehistoric lizard, teeth glaring at the bath escape, trying to chew it like a nut. Recovering themselves, the crew powered the device called the electric gun, which electrified the metal hull of the Haifisch. The monster, struck back by the powerful discharge, disappeared back into the abyss. So now comes the question on what I think, if this creature is still alive or not. If they are still alive, where would they live? Based on climate, I would have to say somewhere close to the equator, where it stays relatively warm all year. But I would also have to say that the Mariana Trench is also a good candidate, although the Mariana Trench would be a hard place for the animal to live, considering the amount of food it would need to survive, which is estimated to be a little over 1 ton of flesh a day to be healthy and thriving. But fuck, what do I know? I just know what other researchers have gathered. Maybe they're all in the Bermuda Triangle, taking out ships and jumping in the air to get airplanes. I would like to believe they exist because they are a fascinating creature, but until more evidence is pushed forward, I'm going to have to say that the evidence is inconclusive, but they are very unlikely to still be around. But hey, that's just my research. What do you guys think? Leave me a comment down below. And if you have any videos to send me that you think prove that Megalodon is still around, maybe that could lead to a part 2. But anyways, I hope you enjoyed this video, and if you did, feel free to slap a like, maybe even subscribe for more great content. As always, I'm Alex, and I hope you have a fantastic day.
Cuts deeper than the roots of the trees that we planted in the graveyard. I don't think these scars will ever fade off. Good thing nothing seems to faze us. So numb.